Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Amy Breeze Harper. I will be co-teaching a 4-week course starting July 15th, 2020 with Dr. Keegan Walden. It's called Becoming an Anti-Racist Leader. And this is really exciting because it's a way to understand how to model anti-racism as a leader. And there's going to be tips and strategies on how to do this within an environment that is focused on growth mindset, humility, and an environment that does not center on cancel culture, but understanding that we're all on our different spectrums of where we are in understanding how anti-racism is, how it operates, and how we want to engage with this as a leader. So this will be a course that integrates those ideas versus it being kind of an add-on. And I've been doing this work for about 15 years now. I have a master's in educational technologies from Harvard, focusing on race and gender equity in cyberspace, and a Ph.D. from UC Davis, focusing on cultural geography, the space of the United States, how the development of this nation over the last 500 years, how is it that we still have these issues around racial injustice and systemic racism, and how it impacts the workplace, unfortunately. So that's the work I've been doing as a trainer and a facilitator, as well as a strategic consultant. So I will pass this off to Dr. Keegan Walden, who will be also co-facilitating the course with me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Keegan Walden, co-founder and COO of Torch. And I'm really excited to be co-leading this course with Dr. Harper. I'm also a biracial founder, so I have one Black parent and one white parent. And I'm on my own journey as far as becoming an anti-racist leader is concerned. I'm by no means at the end of that. And as I'm working toward becoming a more anti-racist leader, I will be vulnerably sharing my own experiences in a way that hopefully makes the material a little bit more accessible and relatable to the group. This course came about as a result of some work that Breeze and I did, and my co-founder did, earlier in the year as we were crafting our statement on anti-racism. And she helped us understand how we could make it better and how we could deepen our commitment to work more profoundly in this area. And we saw an opportunity to create a course to allow many other leaders to also join us in this work and define for themselves exactly how that's going to look. And so we're really excited about it. And Breeze, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the course?
So what's exciting about this course, as I said from the beginning, is that it's an environment where we recognize that most people are going to be at the beginning level of really understanding, what does it mean to even be an anti-racist? And this is a pretty new concept. A lot of people that I've spoken to who are my clients or my students were like, I'm not racist, I'm a non-racist. However, that's actually different from being an anti-racist. So non-racist, it's passive. It's, maybe recognizing that there is a problem with racial injustice or lack of racial inclusion, but you're not really saying anything, you're not really doing anything. So being hush-hush actually isn't neutral, but it kind of upholds the systems as they are. Where anti-racism it's action. It's understanding that there are problems of racial injustice and inequities in your workplace, which of course is just a microcosm of what's going on, especially in the United States. So, how do I begin to think in a way and understand the policies and the practices and the structures that create a racially exclusive environment in the workplace? And, things like, how do I create a job description? Many of my clients will give us a job description to look at with really good intentions that we want to have a diverse pool of candidates, especially when we're talking about marginalized racial groups in the United States. And after a first pass, we'll recognize that there are just particular words that are more exclusionary. And there's ways to phrase and frame a job description that actually will garner a more diverse candidate pool. So things like that one may not even recognize, certain words and phrases that may assume that people have particular relationships to, for example, one of our clients were looking to use the word influential networks was part of the candidate's requirements. And we had suggested that you're seeking recruits that are from historically marginalized communities in terms of race and ethnicity. And usually it's not the case in this sector that you're going to find someone with these type of influential connections. So is there a way that we can reframe this phrase in a way that doesn't make it off-putting to those historically marginalized Black and brown indigenous people who may not have those type of connections but still have expertise? So it's just kind of these red flags where when you become more literate in what it means to be anti-racist and you start reading or creating things like job descriptions, you'll become more aware of the political, economic, and social factors historically that have created certain resources or access to resources and privileges for certain racial groups that may not exist for others. And that may also come across in job descriptions and what you feel may or may not be required. So just really understanding how do we create not just a way to recruit, but then how do you create policies, practices, and strategies to retain these particular diverse candidates that historically are hard to retain. So one of the things we talk about is things like mentorship and people not really understanding why that's crucial. So these are the things that once you begin to think in a way that's anti-racist and not understanding that racism isn't just this binary thing where it's an individual who's a KKK member or a neo-Nazi, that it's actually more systemic and that it's on a continuum and a spectrum and how actually is part of how it upholds institutions and structures, then you'll be able to create workplace policies and practices that are more inclusive because you become more literate, moving from non-racist neutral to anti-racist. This is how the practice is always in action with my growth mindset, and I'm constantly learning and listening. So that's how we try to create what we say a more anti-racist diversity, equity approach with our clients and them meeting their goals. And it can't be cosmetic. It can't just be this one thing that's relegated to HR. It has to be something that everyone takes on as a role. It may differ in marketing versus communications versus product development, but there is a role for everyone. So how do you inspire that as a leader in a way that's not cancel culture, in a way that understands most of us are at a very beginning level in literacy around what we mean by anti-racism and creating an inclusive environment.
So in closing, this is a course for leaders at every level of the organization. It's going to include 4 one-hour live sessions that combine teaching and a lot of audience interaction, questions and answers, ability to role play and workshop different aspects of the work. And we'll also make use of our Torch learning platform, which will contain additional material that will be used to support the time in between classes. So it also involves the ability to communicate with other course participants and to really weave a community around this work. Breeze and I really feel like the time to do this work is now. It's been important work for a long time, but as the world moves toward anti-racism, it's a good time to really get started in earnest. This course will start on July 15th, and we hope to see you there. Breeze, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, this is just very timely, as you were saying, Dr. Walden. And, you know, it would be great to be on the better or more just side of history as we enter this period of anti-racism and how to integrate it, you know, as a professional and in the workplace.